Tonight, Ottawa's $13 billion investment to build new, affordable homes.
We're in a housing crisis, and it's going to take all hands on deck to get us out of it.
The plan unveiled on the eve of Parliament's return.
It is great to be back on the job on Parliament Hill.
As Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre prepare to face off in the House for the first time. The family of an Ontario toddler killed when an SUV slammed into his daycare speaks out.
He was beautiful, he was smart, he was everything to our family.
Their calls for accountability and action.
Small and still, a memory like a stone.
And Sarah McLachlan on the legacy of Lilith Fair, nearly losing her voice.
Okay, I might be done. I might not be able to sing anymore.
And her candid admission about parenting.
It was a really hard thing to come to terms with.
In the Sunday interview.
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Hennemanson.
MPs are making their way to Ottawa tonight. The fall sitting begins tomorrow at a consequential moment for this country. The economy is under pressure, the U.S. trade war continues, and many Canadians are worried. Mark Carney's government will soon present its first budget, which it now warns will include a substantial deficit. That word coming as the Prime Minister also unveils billions in new spending to boost housing construction and the creation of a new housing agency. We'll dig into the details of that in a moment. But first, JP Tasker takes us through the party priorities and personal dynamics about to take center stage on Parliament Hill.
Good morning, bonjour.
MPs are back on Parliament Hill ready to spar. And for the first time this year, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is among them.
All of you decided to come directly here. I took a more scenic route through eastern Alberta.
Fresh off his by-election win, Poilievre can now return to the House of Commons. And he's rallying caucus with a pledge to hold Prime Minister Mark Carney's feet to the fire.
He promised that after 10 years of Liberal government driving up costs and crime and chaos, that he would be different. And yet, sadly, everything is worse.
And he's laying out his party's priorities.
We want to bring down costs, lock criminals up, pump the brakes on immigration, get shovels in the ground and paychecks in pockets.
This is an issue.
This pollster says Carney faces a very different dynamic in the House.
Pierre Poilievre, more than any opposition leader probably before him, at least in my lifetime, is so good at setting the agenda.
Okay.
But the government has its own, including getting major projects built and new trade deals signed. And now Carney is promising to turbocharge home construction with a new federal agency.
We are laser focused on making life more affordable for Canadians.
He's hopeful the opposition won't stand in the way.
If we can do it with all the provinces, with the unions, with the private sector, with the innovators, with Canadians, surely the opposition parties can cooperate with us.
In this minority parliament, the government needs cooperation to get anything passed. The Liberals are promising a bail reform bill soon. And then there's the fall budget. Cuts are coming as the economy falters and revenue dips.
We're going to have to take a hard look at spending, so a substantial deficit means hard choices.
As hope for a quick U.S. trade deal fades, the Prime Minister is propping up hard-hit industries instead, and that's going to be expensive. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Liberals' new housing construction plan is coming with its own big price tag, $13 billion. Georgie Smythe now with the plan to use federal lands and modular homes to ease Canada's housing problem.
Speed and scale. That's how the federal government says Canada will build itself out of the housing affordability crisis, using thousands of prefabricated homes.
Honey, I'm home.
Prime Minister Mark Carney making good on an election promise, announcing a new federal agency called Build Canada Homes. Its goal to jumpstart affordable housing developments next year.
Build Canada Homes will reduce the upfront costs of building by offering flexible financial incentives to attract private capital.
The agency will start with a $13 billion investment and it'll use public lands. Construction will begin next year, aiming to build 4,000 homes in 6 cities, including Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Toronto and Edmonton. Big promises delivered in synchronized launches across the country.
So this is sort of the last base of the frame.
And production line walkthroughs where some of these houses will be assembled. Constructing modular homes is more streamlined than traditional home building. but it will still involve adjustments for suppliers.
It's trying to adapt systems that have already been developed to meet the needs of what's coming.
Limiting how far these modular houses are transported will be key to staying cost-effective, says this builder.
And so the further away it is, the bigger the piece is, the more that cost will affect the value proposition of what you're trying to provide.
There's money to build homes for unhoused Canadians too.
The $1 billion that we heard announced towards supportive and transitional housing could be one of the most important parts of this announcement for communities that are struggling with homelessness.
Critics say this new approach is nothing but a new layer of government bureaucracy, a claim the Prime Minister rejected. He says his team's private sector experience is what will finally unlock change for Canadians. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, let's bring in Rosemary Barton, our chief political correspondent. And Rosie, another multi-billion-dollar announcement from the government. What will the Prime Minister be facing this fall?
Yeah, Ian, the Prime Minister sure needed to put a couple things in the window ahead of tomorrow to fend off criticism that he hasn't done enough. His real challenges, though, lie ahead, and most particularly will be on delivering a budget, which, as you heard in JP's piece, will have a substantial deficit. The Prime Minister has said that's because of the electric shock from the United States and tariffs, but it's also because of these costly promises that he needs to deliver on. So cuts to the public sector, potentially to services, could be coming. Mark Carney says that he reached out to Pierre Poilievre just on Friday, which is interesting because Carney will, of course, need some support to get the budget passed and get some of these big projects done. This fall sitting, though, Ian, will really be marked, I think, by an increased scrutiny on the government to deliver results, particularly when it comes to affordability for Canadians.
And there's a lot of focus on question period tomorrow and the return of Pierre Poilievre to the House.
Yeah, there will be some momentum, of course, for Pierre Poilievre as he re-enters a space that he's really comfortable in and goes after the Prime Minister now directly. But there has been, some overlap in policy ideas between the Conservatives and the Liberals. So Poilievre is focusing on some core issues for the party: immigration, crime, affordability. He is facing a leadership review of his own in January, so he needs to show his effectiveness as opposition leader, an ability to collaborate with the government when he agrees, which he said again today he's willing to do, but also to hold it to account. And that is always a challenge in that role.
Thanks, Rosie.
Thanks, Ian.
Crombie is stepping down as leader of the Ontario Liberal Party after a weak show of support at the party's annual general meeting. 57% of members voted against holding a new leadership race, but there have been calls for Crombie to resign if she received less than 2/3 of the vote. The Liberals regained party status in February's provincial election, but Crombie failed to win her own seat. An Ontario family is sharing what they call unbearable grief after the little boy was killed by a vehicle that crashed into his daycare. Philippe de Montigny shows us how the toddler is being remembered and his family's calls for change.
An emotional gathering to remember toddler Liam Riazzetti, whose young life was cut short last week. People bringing flowers and teddy bears, some of his favorite things.
He was beautiful. He was smart. He was everything to our family. He was the only child, and he was the only grandchild. He was the only one, and we lost him.
Liam, just 1.5, was killed Wednesday when an SUV crashed through his daycare. 6 other children and 3 adults were also injured in the collision. A man in his 70s has been charged with 3 counts of dangerous driving, but police say it was not deliberate. Liam's family and close friends are calling for accountability.
We want to ensure that the daycare and any childcare facilities is safeguarded, and Liam's legacy is going to be for other kids to stay safe.
I think it may be the saddest day that I've ever seen in our community, at least certainly since I've been on council.
The mayor of Richmond Hill says he welcomes the Ontario government plan to ban parking spaces next to the entrance, windows, and playgrounds of childcare facilities. But this advocate worries how practical the proposal might be. She says shifting drop-off and pickup locations might cause other problems.
Where do the children need to walk in order to enter and exit the building? And if they have to enter a parking lot that's being used by cars, To me, that may pose a greater risk.
The province says it'll work with service providers and inspectors to identify any vulnerabilities and take immediate action.
We'll leave no stone unturned. We'll continue looking at ways to make sure that every child, every youth in this province is protected.
As for Liam's mother, she speaks of an unbearable loss and emptiness, saying she prays she will find him again in another life. Philippe de Montigny, CBC News, Richmond Hill, Ontario.
In the UK, London's Metropolitan Police say 26 officers were injured, some seriously, and 25 people were arrested at a massive anti-immigration rally organized by a prominent far-right activist this weekend.
This is our country! You should be here standing with us!
Police say between 110 and 150,000 people showed up, more than expected and more than the space could hold. A smaller counter-protest also took place. Police say clashes broke out in part as some protesters tried to get past barricades meant to keep the groups apart. The man accused of killing prominent conservative activist Charlie Kirk is not cooperating with police. That's according to Utah's governor, who revealed new information about the suspect's background and political ideology. As Katie Simpson tells us, a precise motive remains unclear.
To follow Jesus.
Mourners celebrating the life of Charlie Kirk gathered together at the Kennedy Center in Washington, one of several events planned for the week ahead. As authorities share new details about Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old from Utah accused of murdering Kirk.
He does come from a conservative family, but his ideology was very different than his family.
Congratulations, you have been selected to receive...
Robinson is described as a normal and smart young man who was radicalized after dropping out of university. That, according to Utah's governor.
Clearly, there was a lot of gaming going on. Friends that have confirmed that there was kind of that deep, dark internet, the Reddit culture.
Robinson's roommate is cooperating with authorities and had no knowledge of the suspect's alleged plans. The governor says the pair were in a romantic relationship, with the roommate undergoing a male-to-female gender transition. When asked if that's relevant to the motive,
that's what we're trying to figure out right now.
A key leader within the MAGA movement, Kirk at times used his platform to advocate against transgender rights.
And dare I say, a throbbing middle finger to God is the transgender thing happening in America right now.
Kirk's murder in front of thousands of students has deepened America's political divisions, with all sides assigning blame. The president's allies attacking what they describe as America's radical left.
Because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom.
A plan supported by Donald Trump, who suggested this operation is happening.
A lot of the people that you would traditionally say are on the left.
They're already under investigation?
Already under investigation.
Despite what Donald Trump says, authorities have not outlined a motive in Kirk's murder yet. Publicly, they're saying it's still under investigation. In Washington, a major focus now is increasing security. Lawmakers and Supreme Court justices may soon get additional supports.
And Katie, the suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing appears in court on Tuesday. What are we expecting?
That's when charges will be laid, according to Utah's governor. Authorities are also expected to reveal any additional evidence they may have. They're also examining a letter they say the alleged shooter wrote before the attack.
Katie Simpson in Washington. Russian drones again breached NATO airspace this weekend. This time, one flew over Romania. F-16s from that country monitored the drone during a Russian attack on Ukraine, but didn't attempt to shoot it down after deeming it wasn't a threat to Romania. French aircraft also scrambled over Poland to watch for Russian drones after more than a dozen entered Polish airspace on Wednesday. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is in Israel tonight for high-level meetings. As Sasha Petrusik explains from Jerusalem, Rubio gave little indication the White House would reprimand Israel for its recent attack on the U.S. ally Qatar.
Israel's strikes on Gaza City's apartment towers continue.
Look, it's run away from the rocket. It's really horrible.
As more Palestinians upend their lives and flee.
We are civilian. We want to leave. We don't want to be killed.
dodging missiles day and night, waiting for Israeli troops to launch a major ground assault. Curtailing that is on Marco Rubio's agenda. The U.S. Secretary of State toured Jerusalem's Western Wall, the Jewish holy site, and met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
This alliance has never been stronger.
With barely a hint of the rift caused days ago by Israel's bombing of another American ally, Qatar. Israel tried and failed to assassinate Hamas's top negotiators there, drawing criticism from around the world, including the U.S.
Obviously, we were not happy about it. The president was not happy about it.
Rubio also plays down the disagreement.
When all is said and done, there is still a group called Hamas, which is an evil group that still has weapons and is terrorizing. There is still 48 hostages that deserve to be released.
But with Israel actively bombing Hamas negotiators, talks on their release are now frozen. Arab leaders have been arriving in Doha to back Qatar and to hold an emergency meeting to decide how to answer what Qataris call a cowardly attack. It is time to punish Israel over the various crimes it committed, says Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. Doha has agreed to continue acting as mediator, but tensions continue, not least because Israel says it may attack Qatar again if that's where Hamas officials remain. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Beverly Thomson has died at the age of 61, a longtime host of CTV's Canada AM, veteran journalist, and fundraiser and campaigner in the fight against breast cancer.
Ms. Thomson.
She was awarded the Order of Canada for her volunteer work and her long career as a broadcaster. Thomson went from local Toronto news to the anchor chair, working for CFTO, Global, and CTV, known for her interviews with celebrities and newsmakers and her warmth and charm both on and off air. She died surrounded by family after a decades-long struggle with cancer. A remote New Brunswick community is going to great lengths to protect itself from the growing threat of wildfires.
If we're in trouble, we're in bad trouble.
The added strain from drier summers. COVID cases are creeping up in Canada, prompting a push for vaccination with mixed reactions.
I've got like the COVID fatigue, right? Because you hear about it over and over and over again.
We just don't know what's around.
What doctors are saying about the latest variant. And a team rescue after a flash flood.
If I was that guy, I'd want somebody to come and get me.
We're back in 2.
Tell me a story.
What story would you like?
The period movie Hamnet, which imagines the life of William Shakespeare, has won the People's Choice Award on the final day of the Toronto International Film Festival. And with that, director Chloe Zhao made history as the only filmmaker to get that coveted prize twice. Zhao's previous win was in 2020 for Nomadland, which later won her an Academy Award for Best Director. COVID infections are rising again, bringing fever and chills, and for some at-risk populations, potentially far worse. Alison Northcott now on where in Canada it's spreading and how well the latest vaccine protects against the latest variant, known as Stratus.
This lab screens for wastewater for the virus that causes COVID-19.
Wastewater would tell us approximately 10 days to as much as a month ahead of time, ahead of clinical illness, what variants were entering the country and circulating.
Federal wastewater data show high levels of COVID-19 in parts of BC, Alberta, Manitoba, Quebec, and PEI. The current variant circulating most is called XFG, or Stratus.
That variant causes mild to moderate illness. And we also know that the current vaccines that are in production and will be available in the fall should provide coverage.
With more people back at work and school, there are more places for viruses to circulate, while some are unbothered.
I've thrown out most of my masks because I'm not really afraid of the next pandemic or anything. I've got like the COVID fatigue, right? Because you hear about it over and over and over again.
Others are cautious.
We just don't know what's around.
and thinking about booking a fall vaccine.
I thought I was up to date, but maybe I'm not. I will have to call my doctor and find out.
If you can't remember when you last had one, it's probably time to consider getting another vaccine update.
Canada's Vaccine Advisory Committee says people over 65, those who are pregnant or people with underlying medical conditions should get an annual COVID shot. People over 80 or in long-term care should get it twice a year.
Those over 65, the risk of hospitalization is way higher.
For everyone else, this infectious disease specialist says ask your healthcare provider.
For those who are most vulnerable to hospitalization and death from COVID, the vaccine does a very good job in reducing the risk of that.
And with flu and RSV seasons on the horizon, experts say that protection will be particularly important.
Each province and territory will have its own vaccine rollout, most starting next month. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Sarah McLachlan is sharing the details of a health scare which could have ended her singing career.
So I kind of went through the whole winter unsure of whether I'd be able to sing again.
My wide-ranging conversation with the Canadian superstar as she reflects on her music and her personal life. And a CBC News investigation into a Hamilton cop promoting a coup.
This is deeply concerning.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Inspections will continue tomorrow on Lion electric school buses in Quebec. This after a bus in Montreal caught fire. The fleet of 1,200 was taken off the roads on Friday. They were supposed to return to service starting Monday, but some school boards have warned parents to make alternate arrangements. People living on an isolated island in the Bay of Fundy are on edge about the risk of wildfire. They're dealing with the driest summer on record. And as Kayla Hounsell shows us, residents there are especially vulnerable.
Grand Manan firefighters are doing what they have to do to make sure they're ready when the call comes. Uniquely challenged, they're using this pond to fill a tank that usually fills naturally with rainwater.
It's been a lot drier than normal, and it's getting dangerous.
A remote island in the Bay of Fundy, Grand Manan is known for its scenic views and bird watching. An hour and a half on this ferry is the only way to and from mainland New Brunswick. Yes, it's surrounded by water, but they can't use ocean water to fight fires because the salt impacts the electronics in their trucks. Brooks are dangerously low, and there's no municipal water supply. Firefighters worked desperately and successfully to prevent this house fire from spreading to the woods.
There's only us until somebody else comes, and you can only chase it so long.
That concern so real, residents have formed a drone group.
Take off.
Volunteering to scan the skies for smoke. That effort started when smoke from this wildfire in Nova Scotia reached the island, causing panic.
If we're in trouble, we're in bad trouble because it would take hours, if not days, for other departments to come and help us.
As firefighters and residents alike work to prevent wildfire, municipal leaders are also thinking about what they would do in a worst-case scenario where there is a wildfire and they have to evacuate this entire island.
Recognizing you can't just get in your car and drive down the road if there is an emergency and you need to leave.
Around 2,600 people live here.
We think in just over 24 hours, in theory, you could move everybody off the island, including tourists and visitors.
Chief Brown has been a firefighter here for 45 years.
It's just, we're a big family, so.
As they work to protect their island home, he says what they really need is rain. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News on Grand Manan Island, New Brunswick.
Time now to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. A veteran Ontario police officer suspended after a CBC investigation revealed extremist posts online.
We reviewed Greco's accounts on X and Facebook and found posts about the Hamilton police.
We'll break down what we uncovered. But first,
Welcome to Lilith Fair.
More than a quarter century after founding her groundbreaking all-female music festival, Sarah McLachlan is riding high with a new documentary premiering this weekend at the Toronto International Film Festival and a new album set to drop this week. I sat down with Sarah McLachlan at her music school in Vancouver to discuss her memories from Lilith Fair, shifts in the music industry, and the challenges of parenting.
I do believe I failed you.
So I love this. This is like a living Sarah McLachlan scrapbook. You were on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
I was, yeah, that was pretty thrilling.
And this headline, is this about you, flower child with a filthy mind?
Apparently, yeah.
And are you?
Flower child? I'm pretty granola. I would not say I have a filthy mind. Maybe I have a bit of a dirty mouth.
At 57, Sarah McLachlan is comfortable looking back, but there's still a lot ahead. We talked about her new album, an upcoming documentary about Lilith Fair, and on a candid personal note, her challenges as a parent.
I had to eat a lot of humble pie and figure out how to change the way I was reacting to her, parenting her, talking to her.
We met at the Sarah McLachlan School of Music in Vancouver. Sarah, it's always a pleasure to sit down and chat with you.
Thank you.
A few months ago, you posted on Instagram that you had lost your voice. You had to abruptly end your tour. A lot of people were really worried. How are you doing now?
And bummed out, yeah. Including myself. I'm great now. It was a really kind of a scary winter because I had just finished my record, at least all the vocals for it, and I had gone out in the spring doing the Fumbling Towards Ecstasy 30th anniversary tour. I kind of blew my voice doing rehearsals, and then ended up having to take steroids the entire time, and those steroids often put you in a false sense of security, so I kept pushing through, and then I thought I was okay. I took the summer off to recuperate, and then went back out in the fall to do the Canadian leg, and got a vicious virus like 2 days in, and it just knocked me out and lost my voice completely, and had to cancel the whole tour, which was a real drag. And I went in to my ENT, and she's like, yeah, you've done some damage. So you need to go on vocal rest, no talking for 3 months, and then we'll reassess. And so it might be 6 months. And so I kind of went through the whole winter unsure of whether I'd be able to sing again. And I so love this new record. And also beyond that, it's kind of how I strongly how I identify my purpose on this earth. So to think that, okay, I might be done. I might not be able to sing anymore. I might have really messed things up.
It was that bad?
It was that bad, yeah. Anyway, everything worked out really well, and I got a clean bill of health, and I've just been doing vocal rehab, and so far so good.
And there's this new documentary that's out now. 26 years since Lilith Fair ended. 26 years.
That's crazy.
Singer Sarah McLachlan has launched an all-female tour.
This was the first time you'd seen anything like it.
Finding out that all of my favorite artists had played at this event.
As you look back, what do you think or hope the impact of Lilith Fair has been?
Well, I know some of the impact. I mean, I put all the money that I made from Lilith into a foundation, which started this music school, which is now we're 24 years in. So that's a tangible legacy of Lilith. I think we forcibly shifted and changed attitudes within the music industry. We proved that you can play women back to back on the radio, you can put more than 2 women on the stage. Oh, people will actually come. They won't be horrified and run the other direction.
Now we're living in Taylor Swift's world, where she is the biggest star with no asterisk. What do you think of the state of women in music in 2025?
I think music in general is, it's more inclusive, it's more welcoming, and if we had a part in that, I'm really happy. And I'm so proud of Taylor Swift and everything she's accomplished. She has women open up for her all the time. Other artists, Brandi Carlile is championing women. Like, if you look at the charts now, they are dominated by women. So it's a fantastic thing to see.
Let's talk about your new album.
So don't come back to me begging, why'd you leave? Tell me why. How could you let this go? Let it be all it is, small and still.
stage in your life, are you thinking to yourself, this has got to be big, I want this to be a hit? Or are you, yeah, like I felt like you're at a stage where you can say, I'm going to write and perform and put this out in the world and let it have the impact that it has.
Absolutely, and I will say that I've been incredibly lucky in my career that I have kind of always got to do that.
My walls are getting wider and my eyes are drawn astray.
A little bit less right at the beginning. There was definitely pressure to put out, radio hits, but I've been very lucky not to be A&R'd and been given the artistic freedom to figure out who I am through my music and kind of just follow that muse, which is an amazing gift. And with this record, I did feel that similar freedom. But I always also put a ton of pressure on myself of this has to be really good. It came with this trepidation of being gone from the industry for a long time, and also, what do I have to say as a 57-year-old woman of privilege? Okay, where's my place in this world right now? What do I need to say? And so that was kind of nerve-wracking to figure out that, but as we started making the record, things just kind of, they develop and they become clearer. So there was never sort of a pre-existing idea of what this was supposed to sound like. To me, it's always about the journey and the exploration and getting together a crew of people who are incredibly creative and will bring their own unique voices to the project. And that's the funnest part.
It's been a long year, so much has happened that we both wish hadn't. When the snow falls.
Let's talk a little bit about this music school. And so you said that the proceeds, your proceeds from Lilith Fair, are what funds this school and the other school projects?
Well, a certain amount of the money that I made, I put into a foundation, and then as I was deciding what to do, a lot of the public schools were shutting down their music program, so that kind of became an obvious focus for me. There are so many pluses, so many benefits from, that we already know about music education, and this particular community that we've built is incredibly loving and caring. Like, I see young girls coming up on stage, to do a solo, terrified, crying, running off stage. Other girls go backstage, take her by the hand and say, come on, we're gonna do this together. And that, to me, is success.
I'm thinking back to a few of the scenes in the documentary where you talk about, and I don't know how sensitive or not sensitive this is, you talk about how your mother did not support your music,
Well, she supported my music in the sense that they gave me private music lessons, but I think for her, the idea that I might actually go and do something like that for a profession was utterly terrifying and made no sense to her either. So no, she did not support that. She's like, you'll fail.
We're both parents, and being a parent's so tough, and who knows what shapes us as parents, but I think our parents do to an extent, right?
Like it or not.
Yeah, well, we try to copy what the good things are, and we try to avoid what we think the bad things are. How has what your mother said to you about music kind of affected the way you are as a parent?
Well, I thought I was doing the polar opposite of everything my mother was doing, but it turns out, sometimes words will slip out of your mouth, and you think, I promised I would never ever say that to my child. And so, yes, the patterns are very ingrained. One of the things that my mom said to me that was actually really solid and smart was, do not ever be financially dependent on a man. And I took that to heart. But I think, I really just tried to do the opposite. I tried to be I am by nature really loving and affectionate, giving my kids a lot of freedom to figure out who they were and nurturing that and being super supportive of whatever it was. So I think I took that piece of it that, she loved that I was interested in art and music and wanted to nurture that piece. But, I'm like, going off to university. It's like, if you don't want to go to university, if that's not your jam, that's okay. I want you to figure out who you are. And so that's always been the way I've parented my kids.
And so far, so good?
So far, so good, yeah. My firstborn and I were kind of like oil and water. And we had a tumultuous relationship growing up, but we went to family systems counseling. It doesn't have to be a long story, but when she was about 19, and that saved both of us, and it saved our relationship. Yeah, it was amazing. Just a complete seismic shift in how I communicate with her.
But not only is it nice of you and impressive that you would be candid about that, I'm sure like people would think, Sarah McLachlan, like the empathetic, sort of you listen to your music.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's,
I'm a hard ass as a parent though.
Like I can't, I'm trying to square that person I've seen on stage and with having to like get help to deal with your daughter.
I'm super loving and I'm super open, but I was also a hard ass.
Yeah.
And the way I tried to enforce that to get my youngest daughter to be self-reliant and to push through hard things, it just shut her down. And it made her feel not safe with me. I mean, and that's an awful thing to admit to, and I'm okay with it now, but it was a really hard thing to come to terms with, and this is part of what happened in counseling, peeling back all the layers of the onion, where it's like, she had a really hard time at her first year in university during COVID, and she came back a mess, and I couldn't help her. She would not open up to me. Wow. And I'm like, I'm your mother, how could you not open? I've got your back more than anybody else, but she did not feel that way. So I had to eat a lot of humble pie and figure out how to change the way I was reacting to her, parenting her, talking to her, so that she would trust that I was safe.
And some of this is captured in at least one of the songs on your album.
Yeah, Gravity is kind of all about that. It's sort of in the midst of it when it's that fear as a parent when you see your kids suffering and you don't know how to help them. It's a terrifying position to be in. You just want your kid to be okay.
It's hard the way you look at me with a rage I cannot place.
Let me finish with this. It's clear watching the Lilith Fair documentary that you were driven by this goal of elevating the place and respecting the place of women in music. It is clear that you had a very clear sense in your own career of what you wanted to achieve. Those were the things, I think, that drove you in the 90s and the 2000s. It's 2025 now. What drives you now?
Musically, very similar things. But, in a more sort of a holistic view, I love this school so much. I love the fact that we get to provide a solid music education and great mentorship to a lot of youth, and helping kids find their voice and find their sense of self-worth and autonomy through music is really powerful. So that's the most exciting thing for me.
The toughest thing about that interview was what to leave out. It was all so interesting, and you can find the long cut on CBC's YouTube channel. I want to tell you about another conversation with Sarah McLachlan. She recently spoke with Tom Power, the host of CBC Radio's Q, and performed for a live, intimate audience.
You wear sandals in the snow and a smile that won't wash away. Can you look out the window without your shadow getting in the way? Oh, you're so beautiful with an edge and a charm, and so careful when I'm in your arms, 'cause you're working, building a mystery.
How lucky are they? You can catch the full performance and the interview Wednesday on Q's YouTube channel or on the radio. That's 10 a.m., 10:30 in Newfoundland. Coming up, a CBC News investigation uncovers troubling social media posts allegedly made by an Ontario police officer.
This is deeply concerning.
How our investigation led to the suspension of a veteran constable. Next. A 23-year police veteran given a medal for exemplary service now suspended after posting online content from extremist groups.
You should have concerns about what this individual is retweeting in his community.
The police probe into the posts sparked by a CBC News investigation. Justin Chandler and our Visual Investigations Unit tracked Greco's online history, which Hamilton police called disturbing.
Police in Hamilton are investigating longtime officer Renato Greco, who we found is supporting a white nationalist group called Second Sons, which is training for combat in Canada. In posts on social media, he said police and military should stage a coup and reshared extremist content, like this post about white genocide from a white supremacist Second Sons member. Here's how we uncovered Constable Renato Greco's posts, which Hamilton police called disturbing. After CBC's visual investigation into white supremacist fight clubs in Hamilton, a reader sent me a tip. They found a social media user with the same name as Greco was resharing anti-immigrant content from the leader of extremist group Diagolon and its offshoot, Second Sons.
You should have concerns about what this individual is retweeting in his community, and as an employee of the Hamilton Police Service. This is deeply concerning.
We reviewed Greco's accounts on X and Facebook and found posts about the Hamilton police. Hamilton police confirmed he's one of theirs. Renato Greco received the Police Exemplary Service Medal from the Governor General, which is given to officers with 20 years of service. Now, I contacted Hamilton police for comment in late July, and a few days later, they got back to me, saying they have suspended Greco with pay and commenced a comprehensive investigation. But that's not all. Last year, the Hamilton Anti-Racism Resource Center actually alerted police to this car near the police station with a Diagolon sticker. After running those plates, we find it belongs to Renato Greco. And now the Hamilton Anti-Racism Resource Center is calling for an independent investigation.
Hamilton's Anti-Racism Resource Center says a third-party civilian review is necessary into how police handled the initial complaint, given the rising number of reported hate incidents in the city and a growing presence of white supremacist clubs. Up next, a flash flood hits a small town in Utah, trapping a man and triggering a rescue.
If I was that guy, I'd want somebody to come and get me.
How the community came together to pull him from the water. You're looking at a snapshot of a rescue that took place in a small town in Utah when a flash flood hit and left a man stranded. Now, luckily for him, word spread fast in the tight-knit community, both to first responders and residents. Tonight, their efforts to pull him to safety makes our moment.
A friend called me and asked, "Can you bring one of your rafts over? Because there's a guy stuck." And so I grabbed my boat and went there, not really thinking how it was all going to play out. You know, if I was that guy, I'd want somebody to come and get me. So we had 2 ropes. We had one that we were going to give to him, and then one tied to the raft. And on the 3rd attempt, we finally made it to him. We got him wrapped in warm, dry blankets and waited for the helicopter to show up and fly him out. And I have no idea how he's doing at this point. So there's no other feeling in the world like that, being able to be instrumental in helping somebody continue on. As a small town, we just came together and showed our love for our community.
So the great news is the guy that they rescued had only minor injuries, so he's recovering well. I always think that, you know, the average person, if they're able, are going to jump in and help and, you know, not do bad things, even though the stories often that make the news are when people do bad things. But that's why we have the moment. From all of us on The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Ian Hannah-Mansing in Vancouver. You can also join me on CBC News Network weeknights at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. See you then.